I'm Arthelene Rippy from Homekeepers, and we've got a special program for you today. I want to talk about your health. I want to talk to you about how the whole medical system is changing. I'm watching it from my little vantage point here, how doctors are just incorporating new ideas into their practice, and a lot of us having a really good result. And I have a couple doctors with me. If you've seen me very often, maybe you've seen Dr. John Young. Welcome back. It's always so good to have you here.
It's always good to be back.
And a new friend, Dr. Douglas Kane from New Albany, Indiana, and he's a chiropractor, and you're a MD.
MD.
And I've talked to other MDs who are beginning to think like you. Is that scary? You've had quite an impact in other areas of medicine.
Well, you know, I'm just one person, and so it's not to hold something in, it's to get the information out. And I hope more doctors, chiropractors, I think, are a little ahead of the MDs. So you're picking up on this before the MDs kind of get to it.
That is true. Welcome, Dr. Kane. It's so good to meet you. And it's very true that chiropractors have implemented supplements and diet and things before the MDs did. Is there a reason for that?
It's very central to our philosophy in chiropractic is to work with the body instead of against it. So part of that was, you know, don't put anything in the body that doesn't belong there, and don't take anything out. And so when you're dealing with, you know, deficits in nutrition, you want to put those natural things that belong back into the body and help it regulate itself and do what it was naturally designed to do.
That's too simple. We can't deal with that. Not in medicine, when everything is pointed to the pharmaceuticals, and you cannot watch any program or sports event or anything without being bombarded with the pharmaceutical ads. And what I think would be good if people would listen a little bit more to that quiet voice that's telling you the side effects while you're watching the people run down the beach. There's a reason for that. And you kind of came to this on your own through trial and error. Let me tell the audience a little bit about you. MD, you were in emergency room for what, 15 years?
15 years.
What kind of challenges does that bring?
Well, you know, I practice emergency room medicine here and also in South Africa and for the UN on the Thai-Cambodia border. It's usually not too boring.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But, you know, it was out of emergency medicine that I realized that, especially here in America with a lot of the chronic diseases, all I did was put more bandages on these people. Oh, raise your insulin, here's another inhaler for your asthma, and so on. And I never got anybody better. So
you just maintained
or tried to slow their progress to death.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I went into medicine to get people better. And what the average 65-year-old patient here in Florida is on, what, 23 prescription drugs. And when I'm overseas, I saw patients who are on very little medication because really they're dirt poor. Mm-hmm. So you had to get them better. So I just started, you know, looking, how did the old guys of medicine, before we had all these drugs, how did they get people better?
And that is the reason for maybe this beautiful graphic you see around here of the Young Power Shake. And this is a formula that Dr. Young has put together, and we're going to be talking about that. And there'll be a phone number on your screen, and I hope that you will write that down and listen to what these gentlemen have to say and some other information that we can bring to you, because I'm just very thrilled that I think maybe God himself led you to look at something, because he makes things that are perfect.
Right, and he does give us, you know, certain bents, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it was God leading me, and it didn't happen overnight. And just reading and talking to people, and eventually this is where we ended up.
And in his walk down history lane, you came upon a very brilliant woman. That kind of makes me happy too, named Johanna Budwig, a German doctor, and she's the one who came up with, I guess today we call it a very primitive formula, but it had the science that goes into the Young Power Shake today.
Right. Johanna Budwig basically realized this, that to remake a cell membrane, and I said, here, what did the old guys do? they said, if we can give you the perfect cell membrane, the perfect immune system, you're going to do quite well. And she knew that that cell membrane is an oil membrane, but you just can't drink oil. You have to emulsify it or hide it in a protein. And when she did that, the cell became like a battery. It became alive again. The thing that we've done here in America is we've just loaded our cells with hydrogenated oils. And we lost that battery, the electrical charge of the membranes. And it leads to a number of problems down the road, especially with chronic diseases. So what she did, and what we've tried to do with our patients, is remake that cell membrane like you had when you're first born.
And it's basically 2 ingredients. It's the protein and the oil.
That's it. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Now, how did you gentlemen meet? Because you didn't know about the Young Power Shake, and he introduced you to it, and it's had enough of effect on your own life that you offer it to your patients now.
Yes. We met by virtue of Dr. Ryan Bentley, who heard Dr. Young present at a conference and was very intrigued by what he had to say, and was very diligent in researching the background and the science of it, and the science was sound. And he said, you know, he was working with a group of us doctors, and he said, I think we need to add this into our protocol of what it is that we do. So most of the time I'll take stuff first before I unleash it on my patients. And I thought, okay, this tastes good. I feel better. And so I used it as a meal replacement every morning, and I still take it for the last 18 months. And
did you check out the science on it? Because it's so simple. There's 2 ingredients, and this lady found out that they work to protect your cells, and that's the story.
Yeah, you're right. It is almost so simple that I think we overlook it, that we want to overthink it. And if we take fat by itself, we release bile that emulsifies it and digests it. But if we connect it to a protein chain, it's absorbed directly in. And that's what's so easy about it.
Now, there was a 50-pound weight loss.
Yes.
Now, do you connect that to the shake?
Yes, that was, I'm not going to say all of it was the shake, because I had other excesses in my diet that needed to come out, too much sugar like most Americans, but then I also had deficiencies, so I needed to plug those leaks with some other targeted nutritional therapy as well. But if the cell wall has lost its integrity, I don't care how good the quality of other vitamins and minerals and supplements you take. If the cells can't hold it and keep it and regulate it, you're fighting a losing battle.
Is it true if you get these cells and everything lined up that it kind of deals with your cravings?
Yes, because cravings usually come about because there's a drop in blood sugar. And protein really kind of prevents that. So when anyone says, oh, I've just got to have my chocolate every day or whatever, you can pretty much think they're going to have high insulin levels, which has to do with too much excess sugar, diabetes, insulin resistance. So you can reset those insulin receptors. That's the great thing. You can reset those and reverse all of this.
Yes, and there have been some dramatic happenings that have come out of your practice with diabetes. We're going to talk about that. But first, I want to show you just some information spot that will kind of condense this down and give you a much better understanding. Take a look.
Something old and wonderful has just become something new and improved. More than 4 decades have passed since the discovery of the miraculous healing combination of protein and flax oil. The legendary doctor and scientist Johanna Budwig discovered that this simple formula had a profound effect on blood cells vulnerable to disease. Since most chronic disease starts at the cellular level, many consider this a major scientific breakthrough. Enter Dr. John Young, founder of Young Foundational Health Center. Dr. Young's vast medical experience at home and abroad gives him an elevated status in the field of health today. Dr. Young reached a point of frustration in his career as the prevailing conventional wisdom in medicine was a tendency to just treat the symptom with medication, never getting to the root of the problem. This frustration led him to a detailed study of the work of Dr. Budwig. By taking this basic formula, Dr. Young added the powerful antioxidants of fruit of the spirit and essential minerals to establish the Young Health Shake. His goal was to rebuild his patients' overall health from the ground up, starting at the cellular level.
My daughter, who's now 9, was diagnosed with a very severe form of juvenile arthritis when she was 2. You know, having to put a 6 or 7-year-old through shots was not a lot of fun. But we were in a full-blown pain crisis. Within 2 to 3 weeks starting her on the shakes, we saw a huge improvement. Her pain improved, her joints swelling resolved, and before long we knew we had our happy, healthy child back, and we were amazed.
These testimonies offer proof positive the value of this timeless formula. Isn't it time for you to live your life in better health? Simply call the number on your screen and request this amazing, old but new, tried and true powerful health enhancer, the Young Health Shake. Call the number on the screen right now to request the Young Health Shake. For just $149.95, you'll receive a month's supply of high-quality protein, the special blend of flax and fish oils, those all-important alkaline minerals, and the amazing antioxidant mix of biblical ingredients, fruit of the Spirit. Call now and receive free shipping on your monthly order. Start living your life in better health. Call now.
And I hope you will take note of the number on your screen. And before we went to that, I mentioned that I wanted to talk to Dr. Young about those patients he has that have really been helped who have diabetes. I remember one you brought on that he still touches my heart. I believe his name was Brian, and all he could do was sit on the couch. It was kidney problems, everything, and I know a lot about diabetes because it's in my family. And he began to take this, and he told me right before he came to do the show that he had power washed his house, and he had not been able to do anything. Now my question is, how does this help the diabetic, and does it help both type 1 and type 2?
All right. Type 2 is probably the easiest to reverse, and that's really insulin resistance. You want to reset those insulin receptors, and it's just basic biochemistry. You need to do it with a protein. We found out it's a low heat protein, and that's how we go about getting, in our study, it took us 8 to 12 weeks to get 70% of all our patients off all or most of their meds within 8 to 12 weeks.
Okay, say that again.
70% of our patients in our study came off all or most of their diabetic medications within 8 to 12 weeks.
That kind of leaves me speechless. I'm not kidding.
The other thing is this, when it comes to type 1, which is the tougher one, completely different causes, but what we've been able to do is reduce the amount of insulin they're taking in most of them. Because remember, in small amounts, insulin's the greatest hormone God ever made. In large amounts, it has a lot of problems. So if we can reduce the amount of medications, it's a win-win situation for everyone.
So you're saying even for the type 1, it kind of helps normalize a little bit so that your sugar's not going like this all the time?
Right.
Okay. Now, I understand that after you tried this for yourself and were very pleased with the results, that you now offer it to your patients. Have you been able to do this long enough to get any results back from it?
Oh yes, been doing it about 18 months. Probably one of the most outstanding cases was a couple that came in within 12 weeks, as John was saying. One was pre-diabetic and one was actually type 2 diabetic, and within 12 weeks got them off all of their medication. Was able to save enough money each month that they weren't spending on drugs, that they were able to take their family of 4 on a cruise. So that's a great testimony.
I don't doubt it. I just not too long ago lost a wonderful brother-in-law to Parkinson's, and my sister would go to the drugstore once in a while, and she said she couldn't believe it. $300, $700 that people are paying. So besides making you feel better, for many people it's a bargain. Okay, Dr. Young, when you can use 70% of your type 2 diabetics getting off of this, I would think people would want to write down that number right now. I think one time you told me that the most prescriptions, one of your patients was on about 29. I can't fathom. What could they be? What can you, what's 29 of them?
Well, what happens is this. your doctor sees you, puts you on, let's say with diabetes, an oral drug. And then after a while, he raises that dosage, then that's not working so well, so adds another one, then on insulin. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting kind of nauseated with this medicine. Okay, here's something for the nausea. And before you know it, you're doing really what the pharmacologists tell us not to do. You're treating a drug symptom with another drug. And they will end up on 20, 30 drugs. That's why I have a number of patients that will come in, and I'm looking at their list of medications, and then all of a sudden the person will say, well, now, John, to be absolutely honest with you, I felt so bad on those medicines, I stopped everything. And if I die, that's great because I'll die feeling good. I just cannot, I just don't feel well on the meds.
That's not a good idea, is it, though, to
no, but
stop everything at one time?
But they felt so bad on all the medicines that they just said, I just can't live like this. And I think that's why you see a lot of non-compliance in the diabetic community, because taking all the drugs, there's a price to pay in just how you feel.
Now, if you just tuned in, we're talking about the Young Power Shake, which has very solid science behind it, and it is so simple. It's basically 2 different ingredients, and you can order it from the telephone number that you see on your screen. I'm talking to Dr. John Young, who is an MD, and also to Dr. Douglas Kane, who is a chiropractor. And I know from my position, just interviewing people for many, many years, that I'm seeing more. I had a great cardiologist in one day, and he has really changed his thinking on these things. Do you find that a trend among doctors?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's a very exciting time to be alive and working in this field because the paradigm is shifting. I think that the population at large is catching on to the idea of a pill for every ill, a drug for every bug, if you will, is getting to the point where that's really not working. We're not seeing the results. The United States consumes 92% of the pharmaceuticals manufactured. If drugs created health, we would be by far the healthiest nation on the planet, but that's not the case. In almost every metric that you can measure, we are amongst the sickest on the planet. So it's causing all of us to scratch our head and say, there's got to be a better way. And that's why I like, the Young Health Shake that Dr. John has formulated, because it is simple and it gets back to foundational nutrition. We're looking at the old science back at a time when they were discovering, okay, how did the body work? What is nutrition really? A time period where the vitamins that we know today were discovered and given their names. And so you go back to that and you build healthy bodies the way they were designed to be, self-regulating and self-healing.
Now, if I can just jump in here.
Sure.
Doug did something that I think is really great, because he was able to look at that cell membrane. Just tell what happened when you started looking. You started on the shake, and what was happening with the cell membrane.
Well, the cell membrane is like this. It's like the analogy I use with my patients is like a balloon. It's watertight, and it's like a wall, like the old ancient cities that we hear in the Old Testament, like Ai and Jericho and Jerusalem. What did the city gates do in those walled cities? They regulated what came in and what came out. And that's the same with the cells in our body. We have to have a healthy cell so the cells can regulate what they need and what they need to get rid of. And if you have a healthy cell, it can function the way it was designed.
Now, you were able to check, the thing was you were able to look at that.
Yes, we use a machine called bioimpedance analysis, BIA, and we can actually measure in individuals. It essentially can tell us the integrity of the cell wall. And so where that plays a role in my patients, let's say you've been making some dietary changes and you've been working really hard most of the time for the first couple of weeks, and maybe the needle on the scale hasn't moved that much. But we can use the BIA to tell us, okay, what is the health of the cell walls? Where's the water in the body? Is it inside the cells, which is what we want, or is it outside the cells, which would indicate some type of toxicity? Are you losing fat? Are you losing muscle? Are you just losing water?
Wow. That's getting right down to the nitty-gritty. We've been talking about the Young Power Shake and also the fact that more and more doctors are incorporating it into their practice. And I had the privilege of meeting Dr. Karen Hotchkiss, who is a pediatric ear, nose, and throat specialist. And it's one of the most thrilling, dramatic testimonies I've ever heard in my life, because at the age of 2, her daughter suddenly said she couldn't walk because of so much pain. That set them in motion 7 years with this child, burning out of medicines because you can take them so long that they don't work anymore. Nothing but pain, pain, pain. And here is a mother who's a doctor. And her husband met Dr. Young. Long story short, he told his doctor wife about this wonderful shake, and the girl was better within 20 days. I have just a little bit here of what Dr. Hotchkiss had to say about that. Just look and listen.
Home one day and said, hey, I hear something we should try. And at this point, traditional medicine was not working for us. And we were both very open-minded. He probably more so than I was. And my charge to him was, I will do anything you want me to do as long as it makes scientific sense.
Well, that's been my question ever since I've known the story, is what was your impression? Because, hey, you've been to school.
Right.
You're bringing in this stuff you mix up, you know.
Right. Well, interestingly.
Were you very, very skeptical?
Healthy skepticism, but I also knew we had nothing else to look at. And so if this was a glimmer of hope, I was going to cling to that. Interestingly enough, just to set the tone, is the very last visit that we had just completed with our rheumatologist, my husband had said, is there a role for diet or nutrition in this disease? And we were told absolutely not.
I know.
So we definitely knew it was a long shot, but at least we had a shot, and that was more than we had for the past 2 months.
So you mixed it up for her. How does she like it? Because, like I said, when I fixed one there, you get it to a certain point, and then you do it the way you like it.
She actually does very well. The first week we were very rigid and by the book, and did just the protein and just the drops and just the oil, and the flavor. When you come from a society that eats a lot of sugar, the protein is really high, but the sugar is only 3 grams. So the nice thing is it's a very low sugar shake, unlike something like an Inshore that's really sweet tasting. And so at first that was a little bit different, but I loved the line when Dr. Young said to us, especially when we're dealing with a child, get the good stuff in. Everything else will come later. So he said, if you have to sweeten it or you have to flavor it, that's okay. Just get the good stuff in. And so we were able to cook a little bit, do some gastronomy at home, and add some things or take some things out that flavored for her. And so now she switches between chocolate shakes or vanilla shakes, and she'll make her own.
She should try my strawberry banana. Oh, and the blueberries are great too. Okay, now, so she starts taking it. What happened?
Right, so I'm the skeptical scientist, so I have my journal out, and I'm journaling every day exactly what she's eating and what's her pain, and poor thing, we badgered her to death every morning, every night, what's your pain, 10 out of 10, and we really went from a 10 out of 10, and Arthelene, I could not believe my eyes. Over 20 days, we went from a 10 out of 10 to 8 to 7s, we got some 6s, and before I knew it, we were a 0 out of 0.
In 20 days?
20 days. 20 days.
Oh my goodness.
And journaled every day of what we were doing. And it was amazing. And you could see her joint swelling reducing. I would check her flexibility of her joints. It was amazing. She went from a very stiff ankle to full flexion extension, which was absolutely amazing.
How does that make you feel, Dr. Young? That's one of the most dramatic stories I've ever heard in my life.
See, this is what I was missing when I was practicing the so-called old way. It's just more pills and that was it. And that's why I think a lot of my colleagues are looking forward to retirement. And I'm saying, listen, I'm hearing things like this every day in my practice. Why would I want to stop practicing?
Oh, exactly. And she's a doctor, so we got 3 doctors here, and just this small group here who realize the importance of this. Now, I've never been to med school, but I know that arthritis is caused by inflammation. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. How does the Young Power Shake deal with inflammation? And do you run into this in your practice?
Oh, absolutely. Especially as a chiropractor, a lot of our patients, all of our patients usually show up because of some type of pain. And if they've been around long enough, arthritis does play a role in that. Wear and tear on the joints, poor diet, so forth.
And what about your practice? When we talked about the type 2 diabetes, which is absolute epidemic in this country, and so is inflammation and arthritis and those fibromyalgia and lupus. Those are all inflammation related, aren't they?
I think all illness starts with an inflammatory response. So the thing is, when you can hide the oil in the protein, you're going to get a tremendous amount of anti-inflammatory. Omega-3 is extremely anti-inflammatory. So, you know, people are taking these little oil capsules. It doesn't really do much at all. When you emulsify it in the protein, you're getting, I've seen 12, 13 times more than what they can get from a little capsule. And that's why with most of my patients, they're saying, whoa, John, I can tell a difference. Because also, as you increase the protein, you decrease the insulin, so that means less inflammation.
And that is, that's the basis of so many of our chronic illnesses, who then begin with chronic meds.
Right.
And all that. It's kind of a vicious cycle. Now, if you just tuned in, I hope you've noticed the phone number at the bottom of your screen. We've been talking about the Young Power Shake and some very dramatic results from it, and also from some very wonderful doctors. We've really had 3 represented just on this short program who are using it in their own practices and getting some great results. How much of an impact do you think it's had in just turning your practice around and change your whole thinking?
The people that are interested and inquire about this, it's been very life-changing for them. I had one gentleman, he'd bought a new lawnmower and it was self-propelled, and he thought, man, I'm really, you know, he's in mid-40s, and he thought, I'm really getting old. I can't keep up with this self-propelled lawnmower. He was winded.
Get him a shake.
And you know, and that's exactly what happened when we went through the nutrition protocol. A month later, he's like, you know, really, I was going to call the manufacturer and saying, what are they doing making this lawnmower so fast? And he said, I realized I was just in bad health, and now he can keep up with it just fine. Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't get away from Dr. Hotchkiss' daughter. What kind of a percentage do you have that come to you mainly with arthritis, although there's a lot of other diseases that are caused by
I have a large percentage that come with arthritis. It's a large percentage. And I do the Young Shake, I do some other things, because there's no one thing that fits all. But you start with the basis, and the shake is the basis.
The shake is the basis. And we are out of time. It's been such a joy for me to talk to these gentlemen about this wonderful product, which I myself use. And when you get it, you can realize that you can flavor it up just about any way you would like to, with some limitations. And also, he has developed a chocolate one for the children, because I like what you say, just get the good stuff in them. That'd be a great slogan, wouldn't it? Just get the good stuff in them, and the Power Shake is good stuff. So I hope you've taken that telephone number and that you will call, and hopefully through this you yourself will have better health. Enjoyed being with you. I'm Arthelene Rippy, and hope to see you again in the near future. God bless you.
If you should miss a Homekeepers program, you can catch up by going to www.ctnonline.com. Click on CTN Programs and then on Homekeepers.